You're listening to the Law Lives Project. I'm your host, Anjie Vichayanonda. I'm a lawyer that launched a startup focused on changing the legal profession through mentorship. Through this podcast, we will explore the early career steps of real lawyers to help students see that many of us didn't have it all figured out at first. It takes time to find your way in the profession, so we want to shed light on some of the challenges people face in the earliest part of building their careers. Each week, I sit down with members of the legal profession and chat with them about the paths they took to get where they are now, including the times they stumbled, the times they fell, and the times they needed a little help. To encourage candor and vulnerability on this show, the attorney guests will remain nameless, but their stories will be laid bare for your consideration. This episode is sponsored by Velocity LSAT.
Are you feeling frustrated with your LSAT prep? Does just looking at your LSAT prep books make you think about punching a puppy? Don't punch a puppy. It won't make you feel better, and it's illegal. Instead, get better at the LSAT using Velocity LSAT Prep. Velocity is the online video course taught by me, Dave Hall, the guy with all the 180s. At Velocity, we guarantee you'll hit the 99th percentile or improve by at least 10 points, or we'll keep working with you until you do. Law Lives listeners, that's alliterative, can get half off your first month's installment or $100 off a year's subscription. Just enter code LAWLIVES, LAWLIVES, all one word at checkout. Enroll, get more details, and contact info at velocitylsat.com.
In today's episode, I'll be talking to an intellectual property attorney who started her own solo practice. We'll be discussing her career path from law school to working in different practice areas such as criminal law, civil law, and finally intellectual property. We'll also touch on some of the ins and outs of running a solo practice. Let's jump right in.
Let's just start off with your law school journey. What were the reasons that you decided to go to law school?
Angie, I was a huge fan of Law and Order when I was younger, and I loved the suits and the briefcases and them walking down the halls. I was like, I want to be like that, so I'm going to go to law school. And also, we didn't have any attorneys in my family, and different things happened to people, and we would always say, we need a lawyer, but nobody has any money. What are we going to do? I don't know what to do. So I was like, we need a lawyer in the family. And now that I'm the lawyer in the family, now I'm like, hello.
Now you're the lawyer go-to for everything. Every legal problem that yeah. So how did you decide what law school you wanted to attend?
Well, basically, it was money. So I applied to lots of different law schools. I was in a pre-law program in undergrad, and so they helped me, with some of the fees and all that. So I applied to a lot of law schools, and I was going to go to NYU because it was the best school that I got into, and it was in New York, and I had never been to New York, and I was just going to be living the life. I talked to my roommate on the phone. I was ready to go, almost ready to go. And then UT, they put me on a wait list. Probably about a month or so before I was supposed to go to New York, they called and said that they had a spot open and I could come visit. And so I did give them the side eye, but I still went to visit. And once I went to visit, I liked Austin. I'd been there before, and I liked the people at the law school. And then I looked at the price tag. So at the time that I went to UT, it was about $10,000, and I was going to spend $50,000 to go to NYU with tuition and living expenses. So, and they also gave me a full scholarship the first year, and then a partial the second and third year from the alumni network. And so when I looked at my debt, if I went to New York versus if I went to UT, which was down the highway from my house, I was like, I'm coming to UT. See you in a few weeks.
So it was in-state tuitions?
Yes,
okay,
in-state.
Perfect.
It was great. It was very great, yeah. And actually, when I got out of law school, my loans were $25,000, and 10 of it was a bar loan. So my real loans from law school were only $15,000.
So what were a few things that you wish you knew before going to law school?
The number one thing that I wish that I had done differently is that when I first got there, I was reading all of the pages, trying to make sense of them on my own. I did not want to look at any study aids. What are those things called? Nutshells or something. I didn't want to look at nutshells. I didn't want to look at any study aids. I didn't want to look at other people's outlines because I was convinced that I had to learn it on my own from scratch. And if I would have read those things before I tried to read the cases, I would have saved a lot of time and a lot of headaches. So I was reading everything myself and making my own notes. And I can't even remember what that word is. What is that where you're...
Outlining?
Not outlining, but something that you do to each case.
Briefing?
Briefing. So I was briefing every case from scratch for all of my classes. Oh. So I was staying up really, really late and just spending enormous amounts of time doing this. And I think probably after the first semester or so, I finally decided to break down and look in the secret books that everyone had. And I was like, oh, like, what is this?
Why haven't I been doing this the whole time?
At that from the very beginning. And then with the first year, after the first year, I wanted to make all of my own outlines. So again, other people had other outlines, but I didn't want to look at it.
Right.
And so I see now, and I saw, the second, third year, I should have looked at those outlines and I should have taken pieces from all the different outlines and then made my own from those pieces. Mm-hmm. And that would have saved me a lot of time and a lot of headaches. And I think that gives other people a jump, people that know to do that, because I'm kind of in a muddy area and they're swimming in the clear water.
Right. So did you use outlines to study for the bar?
No, I didn't. I made my own.
Okay.
But I think for me, making my own I made my own outlines and flashcards for the bar exam, because writing those things, it helps me remember it. So that one, I think for me, it was okay to make my own. But in law school, I should have used other people's.
Okay. And if you could have picked a different law school, would you have? And if so, why?
No, I would have gone to UT because it's a great law school. And at the time, it was very, very affordable.
Did you participate in any extracurricular activities during law school that were really valuable for your career?
Yes, I did moot court and I did internships. I didn't have a chance to do a journal because I think when I was in law school, I was the first person in my family to go to law school. So I was very confused about a lot of things and I didn't ask any questions. Mm-hmm. So I did not know really what a journal was and how much writing was involved in being an attorney and how valuable that experience would have been after I graduated. So I really had no interest in being on a journal. But I did, of course, know that attorneys went to court. So I was like, I should definitely do a moot court or mock trial. And a lot of my friends did clinics. So I didn't want to do a clinic because I was like, they want me to work for free and go to law school. That's crazy. But in hindsight, that's a great, great skill because you get to interview the clients, work on their cases, be supervised by an attorney. And those are things you will have to do when you graduate from law school.
Which moot court program did you participate in? Was it a nationwide moot court competition or was it just within the law school?
It was one of the nationwide ones.
Was it in a particular area?
No, it was, I don't remember what it was called. I know it was with the Black Law Students Association, but I can't remember what it was called. Maybe Frederick Douglass Moot Court or something like that.
Okay. And what jobs, internships, or activities did you do in the summer between 1L year and 2L year?
Okay, so my first summer, I stayed in Austin, and I worked at a law firm, and we did ad valorem taxation. And I think it's very, very important for people to have internships so they can see, compare what's happening in the real world to what you're learning in law school. Mm-hmm. And you can also figure out very quickly what areas of the law you do not have a passion for.
You didn't like tax?
No. And I think it's great to do this for a summer and figure out you only lost 3 months versus losing years of your life if you actually take a job doing something when you get out of law school. You can't just leave.
Were there any other experiences, connections, or other factors that helped you obtain skills or inroads for your first post-law school position?
Well, when I was still in law school, I got some information that the DA's office was hiring. And so I went when I was at home for spring break. I was still a law student. I haven't taken the bar exam. I'm just on spring break. I went to the DA's office for an informational interview. And of course, they can't hire me because I'm not even an attorney. So I went to this interview, and I actually remember the person that interviewed me. She's a judge now. She's a misdemeanor judge. So I had this interview. They told me everything. They're like, once you get your bar results, call us back. So I'm like, okay, I'll call you in 9 months or so? Okay. And so I did go back to school and I graduated. I took the bar exam. I got my bar results. And I think I actually started working at the DA's office probably a week or two after I got my bar results. And I think that's because they had already talked to me. They already, vetted me or whatever. Mm-hmm. And so the only thing that they were waiting for is bar results. It's like, I have them now. I'm ready to start. Okay, come on. So it was pretty good. And it was pretty exciting because that is why I went to law school, was to be like someone on Law and Order.
And how did you find out about the position at the DA's office?
They advertised at my law school. So I don't know if they sent something to all the law schools in the state, or I'm not really sure, but I found the information at the law school. They're actually a panel of people, and I think there were 3 or 4 people, and they had an application, and I also sent my resume. I don't think they were writing samples or anything, because when you work at the DA's office, you don't write anything. It's all not, I don't want to say all, but the majority of your work is talking to your witnesses, hearings in front of the judge, picking the jury, trying the case. So I did not submit a writing sample. So it was just an application, a resume, and then I had a panel of people interview me. And some people are intimidated by talking to 4 or 5 strangers staring at you. But that's the reason why you should do the moot court and the mock trial and just anything that gets you in front of people, and you can practice talking and making eye contact and talking slowly, and so people can understand. You have to get that skill because you're going to need it for your interviews, and if you're a trial attorney, you have to be a good speaker.
And how long were you at the DA's office?
I was there for almost 3 years. And half of my time was in misdemeanor and the other half was in felony. And so for anybody that wants to be a trial attorney, the DA's office is a great place to work, because as soon as you get there, you will be in a trial. You can have as many trials as you want. Okay? So it's not unusual to have like 10 trials in a year. That's how often you go to trial. And if you're not in trial, you can watch other people's trials. Someone might say, "Can you help me pick the jury for my case?" That happened a lot.
So it's great litigation experience.
Yes, and you're also the people that are in the administrative roles there. They've been attorneys for 20 or 30 years, and some of them have tried death penalty cases. This is like the best people that can try a case with their eyes closed. Those are the people that teach you. They do CLEs, and you can just watch them in trial.
And then after you were at the DA's office, what position did you go to after that?
Okay. While I was at the DA's office, I learned that I was not like Law and Order, and it was actually a little bit stressful. So I had some different cases that I was really, really, really passionate about, and I lost, and I was devastated and crushed because I was just thinking like, this family's Christmas is ruined. It's all my fault. And I was like, I'm getting a little too worked up about this. And I also noticed when I was at the DA's office that a lot of people, they were staying there for 10 years so that they could vest. But after 10 years of doing criminal prosecution work, there's nothing left for you to do except criminal defense, because you've been off the track for 10 years. So I was like, I do not want to be a criminal defense attorney, and I don't want to work here forever. It's time for me to explore the civil side. So I went to a firm that does mostly, the firm did a lot of things, but my section was school law. So I left and went to a civil firm, like a medium-sized firm.
Can you explain vesting?
Vesting, when you work for a government, if you work for 10 years, it has to do with your retirement, and you kind of have like an automatic retirement and I was only there for 3 years, so I didn't vest. So if you work for 10 years, then when it's time for you to retire, you have this retirement from that job.
Okay. How long were you at the Midsized civil firm?
For about a year.
And what types of matters did you work on while you were at the civil firm?
Basically, the cases we handled were parents or students or teachers suing the school district for different grievances. And we were defending the school district. So there were a lot of MSJs and depositions. And the firm that I was at, and this is what I think when people are interviewing at firms, you should find out from the people that really work there, are you going to get to speak in court, or will you be left behind in the office to do all the work? And that's the place where I was working. That's what I felt was happening, is that I was researching and writing and, doing, I don't want to call it the grunt work, but I'll call it the grunt work. And then the partners were talking to the clients, going to court, doing the depositions, and I was just in my office watching people go to court and come back. And
as it is in many firms.
Yes, and I don't like that. And so that's why I'm happier now as a solo attorney, because I get to be in on all the action.
And what's an MSJ?
Motion for summary judgment.
Okay. So please describe your current role and how long you've been practicing in your current role.
Okay, before I describe my current role, even though I just really don't want to answer that question yet, because there's a gap. After I left the civil attorney's firm, I decided that I wanted to study for the patent bar, but I was unable to study for the patent bar due to my strenuous work schedule at the firm. So I took a job at the city attorney's office because it was a set 40-hour-a-week schedule. So I was studying for the patent bar from about 5 to 9 in the morning, and then I would go to my job at the city attorney's office, and then I would study at night. And so I did that for about, maybe 4 or 5 months. And then I took the patent bar and I passed it, and I was so excited. I was
Congrats.
like, I'm changing my life. Well, this was around 2008. So it took me 2 jobs. I passed January 2009. It took me 2 years to find my IP job. So for 2 more years, I had to work at city attorney's office. I was very unhappy about that, but I had a job and I had benefits. And then I got my job at the IP firm.
And what type of work did you do at the city attorney's office?
Well, I was doing community prosecution, and basically you work on quality of life issues. You use city resources like police code, fire, and litigation to address quality of life issues in different areas of the city. So it was an interesting job. I met lots of nice people, but it doesn't pay very much money. So then I finally found my job at the IP firm, and then that's when I got some money, finally.
And what size firm was that?
That was a very small firm. So there were 3 attorneys, and at the height of my time there, I think we had 4 attorneys. But I was there for 4.5 years, and then I decided to start my own office, which is what I do right now. And so I like working for myself. I like it better than most other places I've worked, but it does have challenges.
Now, in your current practice, what types of matters do you mostly work on?
I'm doing a lot of similar things to when I was working at the law firm where I got the 1.5% bonus. So I'm doing patents, trademarks, copyrights. So I help people, it's called prosecution. Trademark and patent prosecution is helping the people with the application. And then I help them with their copyright registrations. Once we file the application, if it's not approved and they get an office action, then I write the response to their office action. I send demand letters. I respond to demand letters. I have different clients that have contracts.
What types of clients do you generally work with? You said that they're typically smaller, medium-sized businesses. Do you also work with individuals?
Yes. So I have individuals. A lot of people that I work with, they're either retired people and they have a passion and they're inventing, being creative. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I have other people that aren't retired. They're still working. They have families and they have some kind of side thing that they're working on. And they're hoping it's, going to blow up and go big and they'll quit their job. So I have a lot of individuals.
So entrepreneurs.
Yes, entrepreneurs, startup businesses, nonprofits, and then small, medium-sized companies.
And how much of your time would you say you spend interacting with clients?
On a day-to-day basis, I would say I spend, if I don't have any consultations, I would say 1 to 2 hours. So when I first get into my office, I check all my emails from probably the 2 days before to make sure that I haven't missed anybody and make sure I've responded to everyone that sent me an email. Make sure if people have called me, I try to do that the first thing in the morning and return their calls. If they want some document, I send that to them. If they want me to look something up, I look it up and send it to them. Because when I first had my office, I was answering my own phone. And I've just recently upgraded to call screening, which is saving me a lot of time. So I've been trying to make my day into a block. So in the morning or the first hour or 2, I respond to all the emails, return all the calls. And then probably until the afternoon, I won't take any calls unless it's someone that I've scheduled a consultation with. Because when I'm trying to work, if I have constant interruptions, it makes me lose time. And so if I don't have consultations, I would say 1 to 2 hours a day with clients. If I do have consultations, then it just depends, how many consultations I have that day.
And then how much of your time do you spend in court or other administrative proceedings?
So administrative things, I would say about maybe 5 hours a week. And if I have courts, I don't know. I maybe would say, I can't really say because like right now I don't have any active litigation cases, but in the spring I had 2 active litigation cases. And so I would go for the TRO or go for a pretrial or we have mediation. So it fluctuates how much time I spend in court.
Oh, and for the administrative things, I meant like administrative proceedings, like before the Patent and Trademark Office or something like that.
Like
not
okay.
Yeah, not administrative tasks. But I will ask you that.
The administrative tasks, like PTAB, TTAB. Right now, I would say none. So last year I had one of my clients, someone tried to, they did file a petition to cancel his trademark. And so I just responded, I filed a response and then me and the other attorney talked and then it was over. Okay. So I never even had to do anything with TTAB besides filing my response online.
What is TTAB?
That's the Trademark Trial and Appeal Board.
Okay.
And then the Patent Office, they have one too.
Okay.
So I would say not very much time because my office is only 3 years old. None of the patent applications that I've been working on have even been granted. Right now, I have a few people that have gotten first office action. So
Yeah, because patents take a long time to prosecute.
It takes a really long time. So, let's talk in a few years. And also what happens to a lot of people is they either run out of money or they run out of steam.
Right.
So I'm like, hey, remember when you filed this patent application 3 years ago? It's time now to respond. And maybe now 3 years later, they don't care anymore.
Okay. But how long does it take to prosecute a trademark application?
A trademark application will go a whole lot faster. So usually after we file it, we can expect to get something back in 6 months. And if you get approved in 6 months, great. If there's something wrong with your application, like they reject you for confusing similarity or merely descriptive or whatever they say, they'll give you 6 months to respond to that. And then some of my clients have filed intent to use. And so if they do get approved in the 6 months, then they have 6 more months to file their statement of use and the specimens. And, so I would just tell them 6 months to a year versus the patent that's taking multiple years, like 2, 3, 4, 5 years.
You're listening to The Law Lives Project with Anjie Vichayanonda. This episode is sponsored by The Girl's Guide to Law School. The Girl's Guide to Law School exists for one reason: to help you get what you want from your law school experience. This isn't about some abstract version of success. It's about figuring out what you want to achieve and helping you get there. From pre-law to careers, check out thegirlsguidetolawschool.com for practical, opinionated advice to help you get in, get through, and stay you. Now, back to the episode.
So what are the 5 best things you enjoy about your job?
Well, the 5 best things that I enjoy about my job. Okay, so number 1 thing is having autonomy and flexibility of your schedule. So when I worked for other people, if I was busy or not busy, it didn't matter. I had to always be in my office and having FaceTime, and it was just madness. And so now, if I'm really not busy and I have nothing to do, or I feel tired because of, maybe I was in court the other day, I can take off the day. I can take off a half day. If I have to go speak at career day, or I'm doing something, whatever it is that I'm doing that I can't work during the day, I can choose that I'm going to work at night today, or I'm not going to work today. I'm going to take care of this on Saturday. So that's another thing when you work for yourself. You can go on vacation when you want, but also you do have to take care of your clients while you're gone. So you don't have support staff or associates that can take care of the work. Mm-hmm. So you need to plan it out a little bit, or be mobile with your office. Also, you can choose your clients. Mm-hmm. So if I'm talking to someone and I get bad vibes from them, I don't have to take their case. When you work for somebody, if some creepy person comes in, your boss takes their money and tells you, you're working on this case with that creepy guy. Okay, I guess I'll handle the case. So you get to choose your clients. Also, I work from home. So my commute is like 10 seconds. The time it takes me to walk from my bedroom to my home office. And then if I go to lunch, I can go to lunch for 10 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever I want, and then get right back to work. And I don't have to worry about, wearing whatever business clothes. I can just, work in my jammies. And then when I have to meet a client, of course, I put on real clothes and I come to my virtual office and meet with the people. Mm-hmm. So that's another perk too, is you don't have to waste the time with the commute. And so my commute was only 20 minutes, but some people, their commute is an hour and a half. Mm-hmm. That is like 2 or 3 hours extra time that you could be working.
Yep. Or actually enjoying it.
Or enjoying life, whichever one you want to do.
What are the 5 worst things about your job?
So there really are more. I'll just tell you 5 though. So sometimes I have, and this has nothing to do with me being a solo attorney. This just happens, I think, to all attorneys. Mm-hmm. So clients, they ask me the same questions over and over and over again. Mm-hmm. And it's like, you can ask me this 20 times, but the answer is not going to change. Mm-hmm. This is what the answer is. And I'm telling you this based on my 14 years of experience, me filing however many hundreds of trademark applications. I'm not making this up. So sometimes just having to convince people that you know what you're talking about, and I'm the one that went to law school. I'm the one that's done this many times before. You don't have to listen to me. You did pay me to tell you what I think, and I told you, but you don't want to listen. So sometimes that's kind of aggravating and annoying, and it can kind of wear you down. But that's what your job is, to advise the people, even if they don't want to listen. Then I have some clients that want to negotiate the price. So I've had a client before that was going to pay somebody $90,000 to develop an app, but he didn't want to pay $2,000 in attorney's fees. And I had another client that was planning to pay somebody $10 they were talking about between 10 and 20 for a license for a product that this guy had, but he didn't want to pay me again, like $1,000, $2,000 in attorney's fees. And then it was like, well, can you do this? Can you do that? Do this, that? And I'm like, you were trying to work my hourly rate down. If I keep doing all these things that you say and you don't pay a new retainer, pretty soon I would have been working for you for $100 an hour. And that's outrageous. So I'm a 14-year attorney. I'm not working for $100 an hour. So there's a lot of people that try to negotiate the prices, and I don't like it. They can negotiate a little bit, and like I give people, if you're a military veteran, I'll give you a discount. But if you just want a discount because you're a cheapskate and you just told me that you're buying your fiance a $50,000 ring, but you're telling me that you can't afford to pay me $2,500 to review something for you, I'm like, I think you have to find someone else. I don't think we're going to be able to work out. And also, I said this already, wearing the 3 hats. You have to do your legal work and you have to do a good job. So if you don't do a good job, your clients, first, they'll harass you. But secondly, they won't refer you to other people. Right. So you have to do a good job, keep your clients happy so they can refer you to their friends and family that need an attorney. Then you have to do your administrative stuff of running your office. So when you work in a firm or a government, there's office administrator, or HR, or payroll people that do all that stuff. When you work for yourself, you have to do it yourself. And then you also have to do your business development, marketing, networking, because if you don't do that, then you won't get any clients and you won't have any legal work to do and you won't have any money, so you don't have administrative tasks. So that's terrible.
Oh my goodness, there's so many things.
It's all connected. Yeah. Also, when you work for yourself, your income is unpredictable. So you have ebbs and flows, feast or famine. So all the people that I talked to before I started my office, they all warned me about this, but it still is a different thing when you experience it. So it can be scary. But what I would say is that it doesn't last. So if you're not busy, they all told me, and now I'm saying it to other people, enjoy the downtime. Because right now you're not busy. There's a huge wave that's coming for you. Right. And that happens to me, and it's been happening to me now for 3 years. And so now when I have a slow time, I try to take a road trip or go visit a friend or just chill out and catch up on my Netflix shows, because it's very possible in 2 weeks that I'm going to be in my cave and I'm not going to be able to come out because I'm going to be so busy. And that's just the way it is. Oh, yes. And your responsibility for all your expenses. So when you work for someone, you have no idea of all the overhead that they're paying. They're paying the rent for your office. They have to pay the utilities. They're paying your professional liability, your health insurance, your retirement accounts, the furniture in the office, all kinds of crazy stuff that they're paying for. And when you work for yourself, you have to pay those expenses. So my office is virtual, which I think is definitely the way to go when you first start out. And it depends what your practice area is, because at least half of my clients, I've never seen them. They don't know they've seen my face from the website, but we don't know each other.
So what are a few things that you wish you knew about your practice area or industry when you first started working?
So I think like I mentioned, when I was in law school and I was put myself in a silo and I was trying to figure out everything by myself, that was a huge, huge mistake. So whatever your practice area is, or you think you want it to be, or something you feel interested in, go to as many CLEs related to that topic as you can, connect with the speakers. If you go to an event, do not sit at a table with people from your school. Sit at a table with people that you don't know and get their cards and ask them what school do they go to, where do you work, what's your practice area, what do you like about it, oh, that's so interesting, blah, 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 blah. Get their card, keep in touch with those people, email them, oh, I just finished, my first year, I'm going to work over here, I'm so excited, whatever it is that you're talking about. And the reason that you do all this is to develop relationships. So if you meet those people at the IPCLE, if they find out about something that's going on at a law school or some conference, or maybe their firm has a table somewhere and they have an extra seat, they might say, oh, I met this young attorney and he or she said she was interested in blah. Hey, so-and-so, we have an extra seat at this thing. Do you want to come? And so if you don't make contact with people and keep in touch with them, you'll never learn about these opportunities. And so that's what you need to do. You have to be in touch with people in the places where you want to be and where you want to go.
And what are CLEs? Continuing Legal Education. So if there's anything where you see there's a panel of people that you're interested, go to that thing. If
a law school is having something, a symposium, go to the symposium and talk to people. So I talk to strangers all the time. So I always meet people and they say, hey, I want to do this, I want to do that. And I'm like, great. So who are you talking to here? You need to meet this person. You can't just sit in the corner and want people to read your mind because they can't read your mind. And so I think sometimes it all depends, like when you're in law school, if you have certain grades, then some of these things, I think they happen for you a little bit easier. But if you're just an average student or below average, you have to make things happen. Mm-hmm. You have to create the opportunities to kind of facilitate what you're trying to achieve, because nothing's going to fall from the sky and into your lap. Also, emails and blogs. There's a lot of people, they're like professors or they're experts in their field. They have blogs or they have listservs and people talk about, so if you want to do trademarks, you should sign up for the TTAB blog. Mm-hmm. And you can just familiarize yourself with all the different issues that are going on. Mm-hmm. So if you want to do that, you can read about it in the book, but it also helps you to see the real world problems that people are having. And when you go to the IP CLE, you'll have something to talk about. Mm-hmm. So when people are talking about, can you believe the so-and-so case, or can you believe the TTAB said blah, 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 you want to know, what is the TTAB? You're telling me that you're passionate about trademarks and you don't know what the TTAB is? And you don't know about the so-and-so decision? So you kind of want to be able to walk the walk and talk the talk. So make sure you kind of immerse yourself in that. Sure. And also, sometimes some people will have Facebook groups. So there could be like a Facebook group for lawyers that want to do family law, or lawyers that want to do this, lawyers want to do that. And sometimes people in those groups will say, hey, I need somebody to work for 10 hours. And you want to be able to say, hey, I'm in a group with you. I have 10 hours. I can take care of that project for you. And so again, you have to just kind of be open and available and, cognizant of the things around you so you can take advantage of those opportunities. And also you have to have a mentor. So your employer might hook you up with a mentor. If you're in some kind of group, like for Black, Asian, Hispanic, gay lawyers, you can get a mentor through there. Or say that you want to do IP, you can get a mentor through. Like I was in the Women in IP group when I first passed the patent bar, and I didn't have an IP job yet. And so they have lunches every month. So I would go to the lunches and I would tell everybody at the lunch, this is my name, this is where I work, I took the patent bar, I'm trying to get an IP job, if you know anything, let me know. And so I was going to lunch with those people for 2 years, and they would see me at the different events, or hey, there's a CLE going over here, or so-and-so has an opening, and that isn't how I ended up getting the job, but I could have very easily gotten a job that way. I ended up getting the job because I looked at a career services bulletin from another school that's different from the one that I went to. And that's how I found the job I finally got. But I still could have potentially gotten a job from talking to all those people with the Women in IP. And then once I had an IP job, I had a network of people. It's small, medium, large firms, solo attorneys. So once you're at your job, sometimes you don't want to ask a question because you don't want to look stupid. So sometimes you need people outside your office that you can ask the question to, like, hey, I don't know how to do this, but I don't want them to know. And that's what I did, because when I got my job, my boss gave me a patent application to write. I don't know how to write a patent application. So I'm like, hey, they just told me to do this. What am I supposed to do? And then my friend told me, she sent me some outlines of, different how to format the document. She gave me the number to the person that she used to draft her drawings. And so if I had never gone to the Women in IP, I would not have had those contacts, and I just would have been out there saying, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. And you don't want to do that. So I'm not going to say never say you don't know what to do, but try your hardest and use your resources to figure it out. Before you come back and say, I don't know what to do. You want to say, I tried all these different things. I cannot get the answer. I think I need a little bit of help. But first, try and figure it out yourself.
Awesome. What are some things that even other lawyers don't know about your practice areas?
I think some people recognize that writing patent applications is time-consuming and difficult, but I think that the thing they underestimate is for trademarks. So people think that it's just a form that you fill out, and it is a form, and you do just fill it out. But if you have not done hundreds of trademark applications, there are so many traps waiting for you, And sometimes I tell my clients, less is more, less is more. You don't want to put all this in there because they're going to use it against you. And so I think if you're an attorney that doesn't do the trademark applications and you're not familiar with the office actions and the different refusals and rejections that they make, you can fall into the traps. And so I think that's what I would say, is that the trademark applications are more long-term, like from beginning to end. It's more complicated than you think it is.
Okay. How many hours do you typically work during a week?
During a week. So on a busy week, do you mean billable hours or just hours?
Just hours, but you can break it down by billable and non-billable.
Okay, so I do a lot of things that are not, like, for my practice, a lot of things that I charge people flat fees. So I don't bill, like if I return their call or they want to talk about their office action, I'm not charging them for that. I'm probably just charging them a flat fee to do the application. If you want me to write a response, it's this much. So when I'm calling people, emailing people, and doing all that, I'm not charging them for the 0.3 hour, but I am working. So I would say on a typical day, I probably work 6 hours. And if I'm super busy, like when I had those litigation cases, then I was working more like 10, 12 hours during the week, and then maybe like 5 hours on the weekend, like Saturday and Sunday.
And then how much of your time is on administrative tasks during a week?
During a week, I would say maybe 5 hours over the week. So sometimes I split it up, and then sometimes what I do is I work Monday through Thursday, and then Friday from like 9 to 12 or 1, I do all my administrative stuff, and then I take off. So a great week for me is if I'm able to take care of everything Friday morning and then be at happy hour early on Friday afternoon.
And then how much time do you usually spend on business development and CLEs and networking?
So if there are a lot of activities going on that someone else is hosting, then I'm not going to try and also go to lunches, because I do have to make time to do my work. So if I have a lot of things going on with the local bar, the state bar, or any group that I'm involved in, then I'm not trying to meet people for lunch. But if I have a week where I don't have any of those activities, then I will try to schedule a lunch with someone that I haven't talked to in a while, or ask them if they want to meet up for drinks or something like that. And a lot of people know that I'm an attorney, but some of them do not remember what my practice areas are. So that's why you have to keep in touch with these people, go to lunch, have drinks, remind them that you do patents and trademarks. Sometimes like, oh yeah, so-and-so said they needed a patent attorney. Hello, send them over to me. Remember what that's what I do. Oh no, I forgot. And then also I think it's important to have on your social media profile this can be your business or your personal, but make sure that everybody who's on there knows that you're an attorney. And if you focus on entrepreneurs or startups or IP, find a way to work this into your conversation a lot. So you could say, hey, I'm over here at the Entrepreneur Center. I just heard so-and-so speak, and take a picture with them. Or, oh, I'm over here at the USPTO. The director's in from, whatever, talking about this. And so I'm volunteering at blah, blah, blah. Or I'm speaking to a career day to kids that want to be patent attorneys or whatever it is that you're doing. And put that on your social media, then people will like it. They'll say stuff, their friends will see it, and then more people will remember that you're an attorney and you work on, you help entrepreneurs or startups or IP. Kind of just keep a buzz going about yourself. And then also, if people ever search for you, they see this kind of stuff. Like, hey, this person is really involved, and I think she's an expert. I think I need to talk with her.
So what is the earning potential of someone in your position?
Yeah, the earning potential is, I would say unlimited, because I'm just one person. So it could be like as low as $50,000, $60,000, $70,000, and it could go up to mid six figures. It depends. How many clients do you have? How hard do you want to work? How many hours do you want to work? So the sky is the limit. So my overhead is pretty low because I work from home and I have a virtual office. So my major bills are, cell phone. That's probably like $100. Virtual office is $100. liability insurance, because I do patents, that one's kind of pricey. So that one costs me like $2,000 a year, and your health insurance, stuff like that. So keep your bills. So I think it's a bad idea when you start an office to get a lease, and so you're committing to $500 to $1,000 a month, and you don't even have any clients yet.
Right.
So it's like if I were working more hours, which I don't want to. I like working about 6 hours a day.
Yeah.
I would make more money.
All right, everyone, that's it for today. Thank you to our guest speaker, and thank you to all of you for listening to another episode of the Law Lives Project. If you're a prospective law student that's interested in speaking with attorneys one-on-one, check out leguplegal.com. Legup Legal is an online mentoring platform that connects prospective law students with attorney mentors. Sign up for a membership today to learn more about the practice of law and see if it's a good fit for you. If you enjoyed this episode, I would appreciate it if you left a review on iTunes or any other platform that you're listening on. If you have any questions or comments about anything you heard on the podcast, or if you have ideas for guest speakers, please contact me by emailing me and my team at info@leguplegal.com. Thanks again, and don't forget to tune in next week.